The Royal Navy has been monitoring a Russian spy ship after it was spotted around UK waters earlier this week, the Defence Secretary has told MPs. John Healey said the vessel, Yantar, was used for gathering intelligence and mapping the UK's critical underwater infrastructure. He said the incident was another example of growing Russian aggression.
This is a Russian spy ship used for gathering intelligence and mapping the UK's critical underwater infrastructure.
Healey added, "I also wanted President Vladimir Putin to hear this message. We see you, we know what you're doing, and we will not shy away from robust action to protect this country." Russia describes Yantar as an oceanic research vessel, and it is operated by the country's Ministry of Defense. Western nations have often tracked the ship operating in European waters, and they suspect part of its mission has been to map undersea cables. They also believe Russia has been stepping up this activity since it launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. As well as surveillance equipment, the ship can operate submersible drones capable of reaching the ocean floor. The Russian embassy in London dismissed the Defense Secretary's remarks as absolutely baseless, the state-owned TASS news agency reports. The embassy said, anti-Russian alarmism by the British establishment and the media under its control was being used to deliberately stir up tension in regions of the Baltic and North Seas. Undersea infrastructure is crucial for energy supply through power cables and pipelines, while more than 95% of internet traffic is also secured via undersea cables. The Yantar is a Russian Navy ship that joined the fleet in 2015. Officially described as a special-purpose ship, or oceanographic vessel, the ship is operated by the Russian Navy's main Directorate of Underwater Research, which is thought to control Russia's undersea espionage efforts. Yantar is designed to act as a mothership to mini-submarines, with hangars for storing manned and unmanned submersibles and cranes for lowering them into the water. While that's useful for legitimate scientific research, the reality is that the ship is often spotted lingering above the undersea cables that carry data across the ocean floor, linking entire countries and even continents in the global telecommunications network. In 2015, just as US-Cuban relations were thawing, Yantar was sighted off the coast of Cuba at Guantanamo Bay, where one undersea cable comes to shore. According to journalist H.I. Sutton, author of Covert Shores, The Story of Naval Special Forces, in late 2016 it was off the coast of Syria, hovering over yet another undersea cable, when a mysterious internet outage struck the country. The ship has also operated off the east coast of US and Canada, near Portugal, in the Mediterranean, and in the Persian Gulf. Yantar is host to two deep-diving Russian-made submersibles, a three-man submersible named Rus and a second vessel named Consul. Both can dive to a depth of 20,000 feet. Both have spherical, pressurized inner steel hulls to withstand the immense pressures of the deep and hydraulic manipulators for interacting with objects on the seafloor. Sutton says the Yantar might also employ a Canadian-supplied deep diving system called Deep Worker. These carry 1 or 2 people and can operate at depths of 600 meters. In addition to the manned submersibles aboard, there is at least one type of large working ROV, remote operated vehicle, which we don't know very much about. What could Yantar be up to? The manned submersibles and ROVs are an ideal platform for locating undersea cables and splicing them to add a hardware tap. Like a wiretap placed on a phone line, splicing a cable and adding a tap allows the tapper to receive all communications being passed through the cable. The practice was invented by the U.S. intelligence community, which used the specially outfitted submarine USS Halibut to install taps on Soviet undersea cables in the Sea of Okhotsk. Known as Operation Ivy Bells, the taps allowed U.S. intelligence to intercept Soviet military communications in the area, potentially giving advance warning of impending attack. Healey said Yantar was currently in the North Sea, after passing near UK waters and being detected 45 miles off the British coast in the English Channel on Monday. For the last 2 days, the Royal Navy has deployed HMS Somerset and HMS Tyne to monitor the vessel every minute through our waters, he said. I changed the Royal Navy's rules of engagement so that our warships can get closer and better track the Yantar. So far, the ship has complied with international rules of navigation. The Defense Secretary said it was the second time the vessel had entered British waters in recent months, with Yantar also detected loitering over UK critical undersea infrastructure in November. He said a Royal Navy submarine had been authorized to surface close to Yantar, a highly unusual move. Healy described this strictly as a deterrent measure, and to make clear that we have been covertly monitoring its every move. Defense sources told the BBC the ship was also given a verbal warning. The ship then left UK waters without further loitering and sailed down to the Mediterranean, Healy added. Healy said the government was strengthening its response to Russian naval activity with its NATO allies. He said the Royal Air Force would provide surveillance aircraft to join a NATO deployment to protect critical infrastructure in the Baltic Sea. It comes after an undersea cable between Estonia and Finland was damaged in December, with Finnish police investigating whether a Russian ship was involved. Shadow Defense Secretary James Cartledge said the Conservative Party stood shoulder to shoulder with the government's approach and its transparency over the Russian naval threat. He also welcomed the change to the Royal Navy's rules of engagement, adding, "This sends a powerful signal to Putin that we will not be intimidated and that if his aim is to keep pushing the boundaries of malign activity in our waters, and those proximate to us, we will respond." Cartledge said the issue showed why defense spending needed to be increased as soon as possible. But Grant Shapps, the former Conservative Defense Secretary, called on the government to impound ships it suspects of spying around UK waters. Shapps told BBC Radio 4's World Tonight programme the UK should take a more upfront approach. If a ship is suspected of spying, you're perfectly at liberty to go and investigate that, and sometimes that means you may have to detain a ship for a period of time in order to get to the truth, he said. We all know what they're up to, and you do therefore have to have a more proactive, forward-leaning stance towards it.